Welcome back to another video. This is your boy, Weekly Flow. I want to cut back to a video that I made a few months ago. Actually, the last video I made, I'm talking about the Damian Lillard trade request and how it finally happened. Let's peek back at that real quick. Diehard Bucks fan, I have to bring up the fact that there is a route potentially that the Bucks get Dame. They'd have to trade, most likely trade Jrue, and then they'd probably have to trade Marjan, and then they would have to trade whatever very little assets you can to get Dame. Is it possible? Probably not. It's probably like 10% possibility that it actually pans out if the Bucks can somehow throw their hat into the ring. Horst has done some crazier things before for point guards to contend, and maybe that one point guard is involved in this trade. We'll have to see, because Dame has talked about wanting to play with Giannis and wanting to have each other's game complement each other really well, because they really could. It would be really amazing. Is it going to happen? I would love it. I would get a Dame jersey ASAP. A Dame jersey in the new whatever new Bucks jerseys they come out with this year. Would absolutely love them. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Is the Boston thing going to happen? Probably a little bit more likely. Probably not. Okay, welcome back. Yeah, I can't believe that I was like really on the pulse about that. That was really incredible. What do you know? We didn't have to give up Marjan. That's an incredible thing. But it has been about a week. The dust has settled, even though there's still more discourse going around. I just want to say, as a Bucks fan, this is unprecedented times, at least in this era, in the specific era of like heightened player empowerment, of the super teams, like crazy offense. The fact that we got a superstar level player who was incredible on offense, who wasn't on a super team, and is now a part of a duo who will now be two top 75 players of all time. I just think that's incredible. The fact that it's a highlight player for a franchise, sells tons of jerseys for the NBA, and is a premier player and has been one of the most notable players in the league in recent history, and he is a Milwaukee Buck. Watching media day coverage, watching his press conferences, he's in a Bucks jersey, he's in the Bucks facility, he's talking about the team, talking about practice. And I sit there and I'm like, damn, Jrue Holiday, R.I.P. Jrue Holiday, R.I.P. Not that nothing happened to him, he's just in Boston now. But Damian Lillard is a Milwaukee Buck, and I think that's incredible. I think most of the league should be like really digesting this with Bucks fans, because something like that hasn't happened, at least to the degree of like, I don't even know who would be the most recent player to move that's like, wow, this is actually insane. Maybe the KD Kyrie Harden team got formed in Brooklyn. I think that was kind of close. I think Kyrie moving to Dallas via trade, Durant obviously going to Phoenix, but in terms of like, wow, this is like next level type stuff, because as great as Devin Booker is, he's not Damian Lillard. And you might argue like, oh well, Devin Booker could be better than Dame, and that's a good argument to make. But in tandem with Giannis, the guy who just won like in the past few years, who's MVP caliber, Defensive Player of the Year caliber, it's pretty insane stuff to think about. In terms of what I'm excited on the Bucks end of things, I have like five things that I'm super excited about. First, it's just obviously the duo, having Giannis there, having Dame there, and what that means for the organization going forward, and our hopes of making sure that Giannis is a lifetime Buck so long as they keep competing to win. I think the second thing is Chris Middleton's health, and the whole debate about Chris Middleton's health and everything else surrounding that right now is pretty intense. But when it comes to him being a solidified third option on a team that has championship aspirations, it's going to be incredible for his health. His usage rate isn't going to be as high. He's not going to be nearly as taxed on perimeter offense and creating in the half court. And the flip side to that part about his health is Adrian Griffin in this whole conversation with the Athletic, with Eric Name, talking about how, is he available? Is he practicing? Is he going to be ready on October 6th? Like, what's going on? Where is he at? Is he practicing? Is he going 5-on-5? All these different things. And honestly, it's run of the mill media day stuff about a guy's health, and I think it's odd. I understand Name is trying to do his job, but at the same time, Name is also putting himself in a position where he's either going to be highly scrutinized for not covering as much of this Bucks media as he kind of could be, and to be being in this opposition already with the new head coach, when there was already kind of this contentious relationship with the last head coach and coaching staff regime. So that's interesting. But the fourth thing is Dame's comments about Marjan and how we got to keep Marjan. Everyone thought he was going to be moved. He's a young player with a lot of upside, defense potential, offensive game looks really good, has a chance to be a guard two-way player, which is super rare at this point. And hearing Dame praise him about how his athleticism is really good and how his prospect is really good and how he's just kind of like that young guy who's working really hard and is ready to take that next step in the pecking order of the NBA. And the fifth thing is what this means for coverage for the Bucks, because there's going to be so much more eyes. The Bucks were already a highly nationally televised team. They already had a lot of attention when it comes to Giannis, when it comes to playoff aspirations, championship aspirations. But now it's going to be even way more elevated because now they have two stars that they need to cover. And I'm excited, and I'm also a little worried because of all the discourse that's going to come around it. But on the flip side of things, what is this going to, and by the discourse, this is the discourse that I mean. Coverage about, are the Bucks actual true contenders? Did they give up too much by giving away Jrue? And what I say to that is, this is commenting a little bit on the Jrue trade, is when it comes to what the Bucks gave up, and real Bucks fans who have been watching every single season since Jrue was acquired, and even before then, when it came to the Toronto series, when it came to the Heat series in the bubble, hell, when it came to the 7-game series as a 7th seed against the 2-seed Boston Celtics, in 2017 and the 2017-2018 season, it's always been offense. The problem has always been able to put up enough points to compete with the other team and being good defensively, but having the offensive firepower to keep up with some of these better, more talented teams, especially in perimeter scoring, which is exactly what Dame gives us. And when you give up Jrue, yes, you give up defense, obviously. But before then, Eric Bledsoe, great defensive player, strong guard, a little bit even shorter than Jrue, but still incredible. Team was top number 1 defense, number 2, number 3, top 10, top 5 defense years before that, before Jrue Holiday. And then once you get Jrue, that didn't really change the needle, but it was just a better overall player who was a little bit more mature, had playoff success before, was able to understand the offense better, to mesh better. He was a better overall scorer in the regular season. But that's the thing, is they were on pace for 70 wins before the season shut down, and it's always been offense. It's always been offense, and it's always been what they've been able to do on the offensive side. You get rid of Jrue, you bring in Dame, a top 75 player. He doesn't get any worse than a top 13, top 14 player in the NBA, and at best he's maybe top 8, top 7 when he's really, really on fire. And in the tandem with Giannis and Jrue, or not Jrue, I did it again. I got Jrue in the brain. In tandem with Chris on the wing and Brooks spacing out and Connaughton in the corner and Bobby hopefully improving his corner shot and short roll shot this season. But having that as a system is going to be incredible. And this is the juxtaposition, the coin, if you will, that I will say that's incredibly interesting about this entire conversation about Jrue and about Dame and the swap and the fit in Milwaukee and in Boston. Is Boston gave up a lot when it came to, they gave up 4 players total, but they gave up Marcus Smart. Everyone said he was the heart and soul, he was the leader, even though he wasn't the best player. And in a lot of instances, that happens. And people say that might have been the case with the Bucks, that Jrue was kind of like the defensive identity leader because that's what he is known as, whereas Giannis is a transcendent type superstar. But when it comes to what they gave up, Jrue is filling in for a leadership role that is now being really is like, all right, Jays, all right, Tatum, all right, Brown, you guys truly have to emerge as the leaders here. And we've seen some of that like kind of unsteadiness when it came to them being the leaders. Obviously, Joe Mazzulla now is having a year of that head coaching position, really getting into it, and now like can finally like take a full grasp of his team and what he wants out of them with a full offseason and preseason to go into the regular season and hopefully into the postseason. Whereas Dame is coming in to do a lot of what Jrue did, but on the flip side, where he's doing so offensively to unlock the full capabilities of what Giannis is really good at. Operating, coming downhill, making decisions for his shooters, finishing at the rim, and just basically having to, if you're going to focus here, well, we're going to try and attack you here. You know what you're going to have to pick and choose from, but that's where we're going to get you. And I think allowing Giannis to do that is going to give him more confidence. He's going to be more comfortable. He's going to want to get to the line more. He's not going to have to expend so much energy on the offensive end when his team isn't shooting well, when he's not able to get his shot up because the defense is really, honing in on him. And now he has this opportunity to be doing something really incredible at an even higher, more efficient rate because of Dame supporting him on the backside and in the backcourt as an offensive threat from 3, from off the dribble, from like all these incredible things that just transcends anything that Jrue could do. And I don't want to take anything away from Jrue. He had a 50-point game this past season, and he shot the best from 3, and forever he was like 40% on spot-up shots, and he just had a really great year. But still, that pales in comparison to what Dame was putting up last season. And I think that's the difference. Dame is stepping into a role where he can help transcend and move the Bucks over the edge again to hopefully get another championship. Whereas Jrue is being asked to take on that leadership role, that heart and soul that was lost, and is going to have to make sure he's that consistent glue guy between all the the rest of the roster, whether that be when he's working with the second unit, and making sure that their defensive identity doesn't waver either. So I just think it's really interesting. um, Real quick thoughts on the Lauren Holiday post about her Instagram post talking about moving and how it's affected them and their family. Obviously, condolences to their family specifically when it comes to having to potentially just move their family to Boston. That's really difficult, and considering that like you build a home here for the past 3 years, and having young children, those 3 years, that's a significant portion of their lifetime. Those are formative years for them that are now going to be shifted, where they're starting to build those really deep uh, like first rooted memories in their lives. It's going to be really tough having to move to a new situation. I think for a lot of people, they're clinging on to that a little bit more than they're clinging on to the entire picture of what's going on, because the entire picture is they've been through this. Maybe not with children. I think with children the last time when he got traded to Milwaukee from New Orleans, but now this will be the third time he's been traded, but it's different. He's won a championship. He had that big contract extension. They have all this money. They have these means. They have access to healthcare like no other. They're not any stranger to needing to utilize healthcare. They've been in these tough, life altering situations before. Literally, when it comes to Lauren and her brain cancer survival, and kudos to her. Like that's some of the toughest thing that a human can go through is a potential terminal illness. But when you have access to these resources, when you uproot your life and knowing that you can immediately find a home right away because you have the means to, because you have support that you are used to, and you have the system that can inform you and educate you, that is really, really incredibly unique, especially when it comes to the sports realm. Being able to move to a sports city that's going to support you and your family, and they're excited. If I were to uproot and move away because I needed to go to school somewhere or whatever it might be, yeah, I might have some resources, I might have some things, but there's a lot of uncertainty that I have. They're career international athletes. They've been a part of these organizations for over a decade now for both of them. They've won Olympic gold medals. They've won championships. They've won NCAA honors. They've been around these institutions that can help them, that have the means to do so. And all respect goes to them for everything that they've done in the community of Milwaukee and New Orleans, and maybe whatever they might have done when he was in Philadelphia. That foundation is really great. And I just want to, give a shout out. I'll probably even put a link to it in the video. But at the end of the day, there's a tremendous, tremendous, immense amount of privilege that comes from being an athlete, even though they should be making more money, because that's something that I inherently believe they derive the value from. They produce the value for the league, for these owners to make even more money than they do. But at the end of the day, when you're putting out a message to your fans, when you're putting out a message to people who follow you because of the things that you do on the field, on the court, on Team USA, international play, whatever it might be, we're there because we like to watch you be who you are as great people on the field, on the court. And in addition to that, it's really tough when you're conveying this message, trying to put out the empathy, the ethos, or no, pathos. Sorry, I get that wrong all the time. The pathos element to this conversation. Yeah, we might be able to. I think that kind of gets lost in translation when conveying that to your followers on Instagram, for example. That media is going to cover it. That it's going to be a talking point about the connect and the business side of things and whatnot. But I really wish them the best. It really, really sucks seeing Jrue in a Celtics jersey. I say any team that wears red and the shade of Boston green, the clover green, is going to be really tough to have to go against. And I think that team is going to be really special. I think that team has a chance to make a championship push. I would say that it's them and the Bucks in the East. It's going to be really tough, and it's going to be an awesome season. I'm really excited. I can't believe that Damian Lillard is a Milwaukee Buck in the Bucks facility doing Bucks press conferences wearing number 0 with Bucks across his chest, and it's going to be insane. It's great. It's great times to be a Buck fan right now, and I wish everyone the best. I hope everyone has a healthy season. I don't want anyone to get injured. I want everyone to stay super healthy as best as they can. Best of luck to Jrue in Boston. I hope they have a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what they do. I really love Jason Tatum as a player. I really hope the Celtics fandom doesn't eat Jaylen Brown alive because of the contract that he just got. And hopefully Jrue stays healthy. They have fun. They develop something really great for the foundation in Boston because just like Jaylen Brown was saying, he wants to build more for the city of Boston. Jrue Holiday, the Holiday Foundation, I think that's going to be really special. I am more excited than I've ever been to be a Bucks fan right now. Giannis finally got that incredible top tier duo teammate, and this is going to be special. This is going to be a special season. So thanks for watching. This has been your boy Weekly Flow. I will see you next time. Deuces.